Hello, and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is Monday the 12th, and we are here in my newly constructed building for more of these beam lines. Uh, so I'm not quite done setting this up, but I'm nearly there. This is what I was working on before I end up getting distracted with some other stuff. But let's see. But I do have to go through and change out some of the things because I don't like what it puts in here. Like it's got stocking input buses, which maybe eventually I'll use on this thing, but I don't think I really need it for now. I've got all the lines ran, and then with the exception of connecting those 4 output buses up here, as well as the lines to run the actual pattern. I guess technically the beam lines as well. So probably like a few, little bit more tinkering. Oh, I never actually finished this guy. I realized I actually ran out of material and miscalculated how much I was crafting. Shoot, which one am I missing still? Oh, more shielded. Shielded. Wait, no, that's all there. Oh, I'm missing, weird. I'm missing a, this would be a output. Hold on, let me make sure. I'll make sure I didn't have it in my inventory because it doesn't make sense that I would be missing that. That's okay. Beam line output. And come back and finish crafting that. I did normally I'd build my multi-blocks or use the matter manipulator to copy multi-blocks one after the other, but these things are very complicated, and like I said, I spent an embarrassing long amount of time building this guy, and then I still got like 3 or 4 blocks wrong, so that was what made me even figure out how to use the schematic properly. But these 4, if you go to the Beamline wiki and then click on the spreadsheet, which I showed off the last time when I was talking about this guy over here, these essentially are the 4 remaining ones I didn't set up on this guy. The reason I decided to get these constructed is so, I've said it a bunch of times, but currently aiming towards getting Nitinol in the compact reactor Mark III. And so I have the material to craft those things, but the reality is it was taking forever for the compact reactor, and then same with a little bit for the actual fusion blocks. And one of the main reasons was there's what is it? PIC wafer, this blue one, the QPIC. I couldn't remember which one it was. I think it needs something like 3,000 of these. Let's see if I type in impact. Next. Find it on here. Oh, I have 17, so it ran overnight, the craft, and it still wasn't done. I still needed another 1,300, and these were like a minute a piece as well. So, I mean, it was going to take a while. I guess technically if I had left it running because I ended the craft yesterday, it would be done by now. But one of the philosophies I kind of go by for this game is something I heard a long time ago or read somewhere of like, if you're sitting around waiting a long time for something to craft, you're probably doing something wrong. So in this case, I want to be able to mass craft that stuff. And then I'm noticing now that I'm trying to pay more attention to speeding up all my crafts to not have to wait on some of this really expensive stuff, that the other wafer items like random memory stuff and integrated logic circuits and whatnot, I'm having to wait quite a while on those parts of the craft. So I figure I might as well just knock out crafting these 4 things, because unless I want to paralyze them later, these 4 guys, as they are with their current power, will never need to be upgraded because they only work with their specific configurations anyways. So get these guys done, and that'll be a huge speed increase and should last me a good while until maybe the end game. So yeah, just kind of that's that. Also, I'm liking how it's turning out, especially now I know everything I need. I've got all these colors and whatnot, so I kind of it looks cool. For the rest though, I basically throughout the weekend, like all the stuff that looked like it was taking a long time to start crafting, I started like divvying out and trying to improve. So for example, over here, actually, like a funny one, this is just the multi-smelter. Now, my multi-smelter over in the auto-crafting tower actually had it still on nichrome coils, and this thing actually gains more parallels based on the level of the coil. So when I was crafting those shielded casings, for example, I think it took, for the current batch to make all four of those, it took something like 350,000 lead ingots. And with nichrome cables, this was only doing one stack at a time. Swapping to this, I think it was doing, or I think it does 6 stacks at a time now. But I dropped that, and that was just the one. So I dropped that down to have 8 of these over here. So this should also hold me off for a pretty long time, I would imagine. Uh, Next thing was I did move a bunch of patterns back over to these pyros. I had a few that were on passive that I moved off of the passive network and over here. I do think one of the things I want to start doing though that I'm not currently is I kind of want to set up individual pyros now that I have significantly more power to start keep auto crafting stuff. Like for example, I have a nitronium one that's crafting, but I kind of want one that's another one that's at a higher power tier, and then for a lot of the other stuff like the LUV base ingot, for example, which superconductor. I have 58,000 right now, so that's cool. I have these on passive. I think I set the passive level at 200,000 because that's what I need total for everything. Also, I'm not sure how I'm with 20 extra of those, but that's okay. So just one example. The next one I started to work on, but didn't quite fully get set up was over here. These were going to be circuit 10 bending machines because I'm waiting on dense plates a lot now. A lot of recipes use dense plates. And I'm also going to do a line of the circuit 1 for the standard plates, but I didn't quite get these set up. I believe I was really trying to craft the compact thing, so it used up all my like crafting power, and with all the different things I put onto auto, it just kind of stopped. I'm also working on setting up 8 of these guys over here because the main bottleneck I started off noticing was the fluid extractor, so I want to do 8 of these. But let's see. I will hop up here. Also, just kind of a random thing. So on Thursday, I mentioned I set up a void miner in the toxic Everglades because I wanted to get Tiberium on passive. I misread the wiki at some point and thought Tiberium was one of the, or I knew Tiberium was the Bart's ores, and I thought the Bart's ores were in the Toxic Everglades. It's the GT++ ores that are in the Everglades, or Toxic Everglades, so that's what this wire miner is doing. Which is fine that I got it set up, because it's something I was going to have to do eventually anyways. But I did go and set up a void miner on Ross 128BA, because that gets us the Bart ores, or at least the ones I care about currently. I think technically eventually I'll need to go set one up on Ross B, from what I can tell. But now I've got plenty of Tiberium. The whole reason I wanted Tiberium is we can use this for the core, which is not something I've messed around with. I don't know if I'm going to go for the core vacuum reactors just because, I don't know. Maybe I will just for funsies to say I did at some point because it does provide a lot of power. But I've had random problems with nuclear power in the past and kind of working towards depowering these guys and not worrying about random explosions. And if the reactor misbehaves, like having to spend a few hours fixing it. But we also use Tiberium for NAC3 fuel, which over here in this fuel refinery, we need the extremely unstable, which we're getting over there currently. Then I just need to set up these 2 high density things, and we already get this stuff, the light and the heavy fuel. So this is something I'll be working towards. It does need to be powered by UHV, so it will take power to make the power, but it makes so much more power. So that'll be in the relative short term. I think though unless I run into more power issues, which is possible because when everything's running full blast, I think I do need to set up a second NAC fuel reactor to keep up because I was using like 50,000 EU per tick, or 50 million EU per tick, I should say. Right now, though, you can see, and it was mostly over here. I was using like 30 million EU per tick over on this part of the base just because of those volcanuses going crazy. But what else? I feel like there was a lot of random things I fixed up over the weekend. For example, the way I was running power before in this building is kind of crazy. You can see I have like random LUV wires just kind of going all over the place. So I've been working to clean up these autocrafting, but I didn't want to spend too much time doing that because all this stuff I do slowly want to move out over into the mass. One, to get it all out of one building just because the lag can get rough, at least on my laptop when too much is going on. And then two, if it's just to be easier to upgrade. But all these are upgraded to ZPM now, so that's actually a speed increase. I did some little bit of optimization in terms of trying to get things off of level maintainers. Like, for example, over here, this guy makes cubic zirconium. It looks like I actually went through all my zirconium, so I need to remind myself to do. Let me just put a tin stack in my inventory. 10. I don't know why I typed it like that. I'm going to do 10. Just because I need to. Tin by default in my ore processing doesn't make its way through this guy over here, but it really should. Actually, you know what? We can just do it now. Storage bus. Tin purified. Because we want this to run through the sifter because this gives us more zirconium. So that's... hopefully that should all run this way now. Why don't I have any brain duct tape thing? Alright. Well, I do apologize I don't have more of a crazy update. This kind of, even though this went a lot faster, it did take a little bit of a day. So I do want to finish setting this up today, or at least early in the morning tomorrow if I don't finish it up today and get some of the patterns running. I know I won't be able to put everything over here now because I do need tier 6 water. I want to get this set up, and then I want to set up a couple random assemblers over here to just pull a few things off of the main precision assembler I use, mainly because that's also another bottleneck. I did pull superconductor wires out of there, which helps speed up some things, but there's a few other things that when crafting, it just takes a lot of time. And I guess the last thing that I want to set up, I'll kind of run down here and show that it's not set up yet, but it should be. I do believe I'll have the time tomorrow to get it all set up. I do want to set up some advanced assembly lines down here, which I started setting up this guy. I just haven't messed around with how to actually like do the patterns or if there's anything special that needs to go into this thing to make it to run properly. But I want to move LUV motors and pumps over into each of their dedicated line. Just because most recipes use a lot of LUV motors because they're the basis for all the superconducting coils. So like the compact thing, I believe I need to craft like 15,000 pumps or something crazy. So I do want to get both of these set up before I try firing off that craft again. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave off for today. Sorry, it's kind of more of a rambly episode. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot done, but nothing like, no major milestones were made, just general improvements to the base. Again, if you ever have any questions about how I'm setting things up or what I'm doing, feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to elaborate more if anyone's curious. Hope you have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.